Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining us. And welcome once again to a Thursday teissTalk. We have got, as you would no doubt expect, a wonderful show for you today with some great guests. But just before then, let's do the regular announcement. If you would like to win one of the coveted teissTalk mugs, then please do post a question it's that way, I think, that way on your screen. In the chat, do post a question for me, for any of the guests about today's topic, and we will award one of the coveted Tice mugs to the best question, the funniest question, the one that makes us laugh, the one that makes us groan, or just the one that I happen to pick at random. So, without further ado, let me get my guests onto the stage. Please come onto the stage, Thomas, Jacqueline, and Torsten. Hello,
Everybody.
Thomas.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jacqueline. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good. And
Great.
Torsten, hello.
Hello, warm welcome out of Germany.
Fantastic. And a special thank you, Torsten, for being this week's sponsor. We thank you for our tea, coffee, orange squash and biscuits for today's meeting. That's greatly appreciated. Without your help, we wouldn't be here. So let's just jump straight into it, shall we, with our news story. It's from our friends of the show, Info Security Magazine. It's another story. It's based on some lovely stats that say 92% of organizations hit by credential compromise from social engineering attacks. 92%, that's more than 9 out of 10 are hit with credential compromises. Is this a surprise, though? I mean, I think we were chatting in the preparation call yesterday that actually getting people's credentials is probably easier through social engineering than it is through actually hacking computers, right?
Yes, it definitely is. I think with cybersecurity being the third largest economy, and cybercrime being on the rise, people are going to be your easiest way in. It's actually a very common attack vector here in Ghana. I'm speaking from Accra, Ghana. We have at MTN Ghana, we have a product called Mobile Money, the fintech space. And that's really the bane of our existence because our systems are hacked, but then people are called and finessed out of their pins, and that's how they get compromised. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree. It's something that we are facing here, and we are fighting day by day. And the more we put in measures to counter it, the smarter the people get, and they play on people's sensibilities and the hospitality of the Ghanaians anyway. So yes, it's something that I can definitely agree with.
I can feel the pain in your voice there, Jacqueline.
It's a real problem because people are actually calling people and they're giving their information over, and you're like, "What are you doing?" You know, it's painful. It's painful. It's painful. I mean, but we will get there. We will get there. Yeah,
we will. But it's unfortunate that one of the fundamental tenets of being a good human being is to be helpful and friendly, and that's exactly what the cyber criminals are targeting. They're targeting you being actually a good human being, which well, actually just hurts so much. And that's why, you know, for instance, you know, conversation hijacking is one of the highest, according to the article, you know, one of the main methods in. It's, you know, it's basically trying to craft authentic looking and convincing messages and telling people to click on something or to do something because something horrible is going to happen if they don't.
Yeah.
I would like to actually to Jacqueline's comment. I think we are just on the, let me say, step to a next level of identity compromising. So when you just look around the UK company Arab, they just back in May confirmed that they got scammed with a deepfake video call So, and they paid out through a video call more than $25 million. So one of the finance workers, he was in a call with the CFO and with the CEO. So, and he believed he is talking to the bosses of the bosses. So, and he just approved and sent the money out. So, and just back in, I think in late May, Arab confirmed that it was really happened. So it was already back in February, but that was the official confirmation. And for me, that's a complete new level of using AI, deep faking, voice, face. So I think we are going to fight a complete new area. So from this point of view, if you look at the reports, 2022 ransomware, phishing was the number one. In 23, it was really identity theft. So we are still talking about identity. I don't know how many messages you getting. Hello, you are Tom. Hello, you are Jacqueline. Hello, you are there. Just on your messengers and on your standard phones, it's increasing. So I see myself between 2 and 5 messages a week, and just spread it out. As you mentioned, Jacqueline, you as an operator, I'm sure you see much more of that. So in your operating environment. So yeah, it seems to be currently very easy to reach out to people, and on the other hand as well, it's easier to hack into or to look for in people's identity to get access to a corporate network or to a private environment than really running, let me say, expensive phishing campaign. That's bothering me.
Yeah, let me add something to this. First of all, to your initial comment, people are helpful. I totally agree that people are helpful. They should be smart as well.
Yeah.
That means the bad guys are getting smarter and smarter, using more and more technology in order to make their attacks better prepared. Deepfake is a big topic here. Better targeted, better prepared, and it's a bad game if we stay helpful. Instead, we should be prepared for and question. Usually, my CEO is not sending me a message and asking for money, even if he says it's super urgent because I'm going to miss my flight that is really crucial. So most of the attacks are kind of similar, and there's either a type of urgency, there is something super bad's going to happen, it's something that's going to hit me. So we should be trained by either on a private base or by our employers. And then both sides should invest a little bit into modern technology in order to be prepared a little bit better. And then all of a sudden, these attacks are less scary and less successful. I think be more intelligent is state of the art today.
True. I mean, a natural human trait of being helpful and nice. Maybe intelligence isn't a natural human trait as well, but you know, not. In all seriousness, no, though, the vectors of attack, the approaches that the criminals take, is evolving so quickly that our education efforts are struggling to keep up. I know even sort of 10, 15 years ago, when QR codes first came out, there was a push of, don't scan QR codes, etc. And it kind of worked at first, but they've come back with a vengeance. QR codes are everywhere now. And we're being asked to use them in valid occasions. I authenticated using Microsoft MFA's Authenticator this morning. That was scanning a QR code, entirely valid, and I'm sure of that. But QR codes are being used for such fundamental services. We're actually kind of almost inoculating people against the dangers of using QR codes, for instance. And QR codes one of the trends that was highlighted in the report. 5% of mailboxes were targeted with QR codes in the last quarter. And actually, when we talk about the number of mailboxes, that's a vast number of things that were of people that were targeted.
I think there's something about QR codes. When people see them, I think the urge to scan just takes over. So my company, I ran a bi-monthly, or every 2 months, I run a phishing assessment, a human vulnerability assessment. And I know my biggest success, or our biggest phish rate, we got our biggest phish rate when we incorporated sort of QR codes saying they were from HR, scan to update your details and like that. And that was the biggest phish rate I'd ever seen in the 3 years I'd been running that. So education, I think we need to step up our education. We need to improve or increase our people's cyber dexterity, to the point where they are able to think through scenarios and defend themselves or make the right decision in that, okay, A and B, then I go to C, or if A and B don't add up, I jump to D. I don't think the simple information security or cybersecurity awareness really cuts it anymore, because as cyber practitioners, we're really in a circle holding hands with everybody in the organization. It's not something that we are supposed to lead the charge on. We're all supposed to have the basic cyber hygiene down to pat. So these things we're not being caught up by these little things. So QR codes are definitely one that we find people falling foul of a lot. I think the urge to scan is so attractive. People just want to scan that.
Well, it's interesting to see what's on the other end of it, isn't it? But it's we forget as well that this has got to go beyond just cybersecurity education. These have got to be life lessons. We get tricked. I'm sure we have fallen for a phishing scam, although we've probably realized a lot quicker after we've clicked or opened something. We've probably almost certainly fallen for an internal phishing scam at one point in our lives, although we've realized very quickly afterwards. But these are getting so complex, and people just don't have that same kind of knowledge or viewpoints because it's not part of their daily life. So it's got to go beyond cybersecurity lessons and much more into life lessons.
And we need to position it as such as we pursue more digital channels. This is life now. It's not about the cybersecurity team making you go tick a box and take a training and say, okay, I'm compliant. This is about your life. Ask more of your life. You'll live more of your life online. It's imperative that you equip yourself with the necessary information to be able to protect yourself online, or be as savvy as you will online as well. I'll let my colleagues, panel members, weigh in as well.
Jacqueline, you may remember the, let me say, good old cyber stories 5-6 years ago. Everyone was asking for free Wi-Fi access. So what we created, a huge QR code, free Wi-Fi access, and cyber, or let me say IT security, could get all information they were looking for. So you could do it on a trade show. You did it in your corporate environment. It was working. So that was brought to attention to the top level. So they said, don't use it. But I think that's exactly the level of awareness where we have to start again here. So we need really management attention, and they have to show and to live awareness. That's, from my point of view, it's crucial to protect your corporate environment. It is not just the employee, or let me say the controller, the accountant, the salesperson. They're just trying to do their job, and they need to be trained or educated more effectively. That's my point of view, because the classic old QR code story works today. Just go somewhere in a city, put a banner up with a QR code, and people will log in.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's segue a little straight into the panel proper, where we're actually specifically talking about protecting our C-suite. You know, given that they're often the key to getting into the organization, at least the key to getting into the organization at a high level. And I think we're seeing, you know, we saw business email compromise there is one of them. It was one of the trends that was picked out in the news item there. But I think we're seeing that actually our C-suite are probably being attacked more and more because of the, you know, the social pressure or even the professional pressure, the social professional pressure, if you will, of actually doing what the boss says, doing what the boss is asking you to do. So what is so unique about the kinds of threats that are targeting our C-suite versus just targeting everybody else in the company?
I think it's the access that you're going to gain if you're successful. So if you're able to have C-suite's credentials, and social engineering on a private base is often leads to blackmailing, because modern controls are, you don't know, you have a username, you have a password, you have a multi-factor authentication. You're gonna either have a code that's gonna be scanned as sent to your device, somehow a better security than years before. But if you are able on a private base to somehow compromise the C-suite in either having access to their private data, to their pictures, to whatever is special for them, and you're successful, then the chances are high that these guys are not telling it to the upper management or to the CEO and said, I have an issue. And on the other hand, if you have then access to username, password, and he's gonna give you the multi-factor authentication code, then you have access to the crown jewels of the company. And that's much more efficient and much more successful than trying to go through all these firewalls and all the security tools in place. That's why a very targeted attempt to get access to the individual and not the C-level as a job is raising and much more effective than everything else at the moment.
Do we think it's easier for criminals to target senior executives than it is the average person?
I would think so.
Not easier, but the price is higher. The price is bigger.
Or the reward is bigger.
Yeah.
The cost is the same, the reward is bigger. Sorry, go on, Jacqueline.
Yeah. I would say, I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that beyond the protection of their corporate accounts, the C-suite is not protected in terms of their personal, their Instagram, if they have TikTok or stuff, and stuff like that. They're not protected on that front. So it's easier to pick up that unprotected information and use it to attack the corporate side, because most of the attack vectors against C-suite, spear phishing, whaling, targeted attacks, business email compromise. And the more you know about that person, the more credible you can make your attacks seem. And when you come on the corporate side, if you've got an unprotected Facebook account, you can find a few more details about them, like their middle initial and things like that. You might not get on the corporate side. I think you stand a better chance of compromising them. And like Torsten said, it's easier than going through firewalls and all these technical controls we put in place, which are, by the way, becoming more sophisticated. This is such an easier and quicker route as well. So yeah, I think they are a bigger prize, bigger reward, definitely. Show me the money, they are the money, really. So it's really where I would go if I was an attacker.
let me add, there is one term in the military, high value target, which describes a person or a resource of a high value. So, and that's exactly the point why I should waste my resources, my time on, let me say, addressing everyone when I get exactly the people I'm looking for. And through, let me say, I would call it the internal marketing and social media push with Twitter, now X, with all the other social media network platforms. It is visible who's doing what. Then, if I remember 20 years ago, there was not a single C-level without the PA or a secretary before. We called them. This is the gatekeeper. So just someone on the phone before. Now, most people are able, through the, let me say, just looking at the internet, getting the direct, not just the email, getting the phone number, and you can call these people directly. So that wasn't possible in the past. Now these targets, these high value targets, reachable, much easier reachable. So that's, let me say, it starts with our processes, how we have to look at security. I would put it as a part of the corporate safety, not just IT security. That's corporate safety. So, and that's, I think we're talking about that nobody get hurt when we're moving something from A to B. So when we're traveling, whatever, but this corporate safety as well, that I have to protect my C-level, somehow got forgotten. That's just my personal view.
And I think we've heard lots of apocryphal stories of the CEO demanding that they don't use MFA, the CEO being, or the C-level execs being the ones who don't do the training, who aren't interested. And I think that possibly that's maybe an oldish, less accurate story. But I think we all know people in the organization who kind of throw their authority around to not have to do certain things because it's more work, because it's different, etc. Well, one, is that something that I think we're seeing changing? But two, if we are experiencing that, and if anybody in our audience is experiencing that, how do we approach that kind of resistance to doing basics, to doing MFA, not clicking on links, not oversharing information on LinkedIn about their travel schedules and the daughter's middle name and birthdays and all that sort of stuff, right? How do we approach these kind of resistant people to get these messages across to them?
I think I have found a bit of success in doing this by conducting an OSINT. An OSINT is an open source intelligence, which refers to accessing and using classified and unclassified information that can be collected from unclassified information. That can be collected from any publicly available source to produce some actionable intelligence. So basically, we take the name and the surname, we provide it to the vendor who's doing this for us, and they glean as much information as they can about that director, or that member. And I think it's it's a bit of a wake-up call, and it's an eye-opener to how open bare we are, how we are open, because they find so many things. Yes, they might find somebody with the same name probably as me and stuff like that, but chances are it's you, and they'll find so much information about you, just through that, providing your name and your surname, and they find all these extra stuff about you. And I think that has really helped us bring people in line. Also putting in a policy about basic cyber hygiene. You mentioned MFA. MFA is one of them. It's a non-negotiable. We can't be fighting about MFA at this point that we are at. We're fighting deepfakes. MFA is it's really a small fish at the moment. It's not something there should be a contention around, if you get me. It's basic cyber hygiene, and these really should be non-negotiable. So I think the OSINT has helped us a lot. As much as scared and it's been as much as it scared people, put the fear of God in people, it's also been an eye opener as to how exposed we are. So I think that has helped the message. Well, after doing that, you coming with a message of basic cyber hygiene. These are non-negotiables. These have to be practiced. You need to clean your act up, and they've been well taken, because then you have been able to give them a picture of how exposed you are and what you're looking out there if anybody decided to go looking. Okay, so for me, basic cyber hygiene, push that, make it a non-negotiable, tie it to performance. Anybody who flouts that then needs to answer. It needs to be part of their performance KPIs as well. And I think that's definitely would start a conversation about adherence and compliance.
Completely agree. Unless it's that leadership that is actually enforcing that message.
OSINT, Jacqueline, it's from my point of view a very interesting approach. I can just share my experience, how I run, let me say, these education sessions on the C-level arena. Everyone is using today a smartphone. So I think the best thing is always you have to touch it, you have to feel it yourself. So just show them, do it with them together in a room. They should address the password store, should go in, and then Apple or Google is showing how many of your accounts or accesses you have stored in your password stores are compromised, are found in a breach. So, and I'm security. I'm checking it regularly. It's, let me say, every second week something is there, and then you can act. You have to act. So when you're showing it them on their own devices, let them do it on the corporate and on the private. So it's what I figured out an eye opener, and then you can go to OSINT platform, using it and showing. Just, okay, guys, here in this room, who would like to search for his credentials in the dark web? You should, if possible, with someone from the C-level, agree upfront who is stepping up and saying, oh, let's go with my credentials. So, and then you can show them where these data are on trade, where they are coming from. You're getting some content behind, and with the phone, you can show them that is hurting or addressing them personally. I think that's quite important, that these topics are not something general, something cyber untouchable, something in the space. We all the box or whatever, and we will bring all the knowledge together. No, it is there, it is real. We have it, and we have it in our hand to start with a more secure environment.
Yeah, so to add here, so it's super easy to find out if your credentials are already exposed in the internet on the business level and also on the private level. And I don't take myself here as not to blame myself, but I have so many accounts and so many tools that I use that I somehow started to use the same password for multiple applications.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped that like a year ago, and I'm actually using a password that I cannot remember, and I store it in a password safe, but that's just because I've seen that 2 of my accounts that I had on third parties were exposed. Everyone was aware of my username and my password, and if they're smart, they just try this password on other applications, and they're going to be super successful with the majority of people, because everything is now cloud, and most of the people, they have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 passwords. They don't have 50 different passwords. They just don't do that. So checking what's out there already is the first step, and you need a security policy for you as an individual. You need to make sure that you're a little bit safer than before. That's what I tell my friends, is like, just check what's available and then do something quickly.
But I think what underlines all of this is, and you've all sort of either stated it or alluded to it, is that when it comes to the C-suite, who are in control, who can be resistant, who can have sometimes very good, very good reasons in their own mind as why they're pushing back. We have to get creative. We have to be creative when it comes to showing them what the real risks are. And going back, 25 years in my case, and this is, whilst it's not a direct analogy, but it's very similar in that back in the early days of the internet, etc., I was installing a permanent internet connection, and there was no budget for a firewall, which I thought, even then, even before I was in security, which I thought was not necessarily the best thing to do. So to cut a very long story short, I used tools from Cult of the Dead Cow. Do you remember those folks? I used tools from that and basically hacked our leadership team's passwords and told them I had done so and that they were in the safe upstairs and, come and get it if you wanted to. 3 of the 6 came upstairs to get their passwords and they were like, oh my God, how'd you get that? Told them, explained it, and my budget was approved within 3 or 4 days for a firewall. And it does show that sometimes you do need to get that to that level of creativity. To your point, Jacqueline, about OSINT, showing people. To your point, Thomas, about, actually let's do a live demonstration of what we know about you just based on your own, on the information that's out there and the fact that I can probably guess, if not one of your current, then certainly one of your recent passwords because it's been leaked. Doing those kinds of activities are absolutely, well, we have to be part entertainer as well as part CISO, I would say.
Sure. I've seen a question here what password tools are the best. I don't know which one is the best because I'm not an expert there, but I use what's available. So I personally use Google, and on the other hand, I use what Apple is offering me. And for business, I have a corporate one. And with most of my friends, I used a tool to check if their passwords are already exposed. That's an easy check, and then for sure that you need to do something. And as Thomas mentioned, if I log into Google, it's going to tell me weak password. It's already exposed. It was exposed 5 years ago. Yeah, I was part of the LinkedIn breach. So that's like 10 years ago. So since then, this password is done. I can't reuse it.
Yeah. Thorsten, just to add, I think we can bring it down to our daily life. How much walking or running is good. So every step you're doing is better than nothing. And it's the same with the password tools. So it's not important which one is the best. Just start to use it and then figure out what is for your purpose the right tool. So, and the topic Hendrik has been bringing up, I could now talk hours about the NIS2 directive and just thumbs up on that. Finally, that the management is not just required to take a training. They have to assign a person who is legally responsible to take the responsibility on the cyber topic. I think that's a quite important step they are doing. We have seen that before within the banking area, and they took that really one-to-one over to NIS2, and I really look forward that it starts, let me say, helping us in securing here our environment. So we have 2024, and from my point of view, 2024 is the year of cyber regulations. So finally, we have the CRA, so the Cyber Resilience Act. Finally, someone is becoming responsible for the software they are developing. If you're using let me say, free available software, if you're using some DLLs from one store, whatever, if you are producing it, if you're bringing it together, you're becoming responsible. That it's really great for the end user or for the clients which are using it. And there's a requirement behind that. You have to support it for a minimum time, not just developing, selling, and forgetting about it. And NIS2 is really, I hope so, bringing up the awareness that we have more critical infrastructure than we thought in the past. Those are not just the big ones. We have hospitals, we have garbage companies. You know, when let me say, when the garbage company isn't working for a couple of days, you can see it in the city, and it really smells not nice. Saying it that way.
Yeah. And I think the the point Hendrik makes, which is a really good one, is the regulation is going to help here, right? And I think it's taken a long time, and this too is only and correct me if I'm wrong, is only European focused, and obviously that only helps a portion of our audience and people out there. Although there will be no doubt greater regulation here, but more than anything, I think, and I've joked about this in the past, but I think it's relevant, is that what this regulation will show to C-level is that there is an ROI associated with ignoring regulation and security, and that ROI is the risk of incarceration of some degree, right? So that accountability, to Hendrik's point again, is absolutely key.
To the next topic, could we not use something better than passwords and MFA?
Well, tune in next week.
A fingerprint or biometrics, for myself, nothing else, or they are similar. These are passwords, just stored or handled in a different way. So, and yes, I think we have to look at not to overcomplicate everything. So ease of use is key to, let me say, a successful implementation, whatever you're doing. If the people are not accepting it, if I'm telling them you have to enter or put permanently a password with 25 characters in, and you have to change this every 3 months, that doesn't really help to increase the security.
Yeah.
But yes, there are definitely biometrics are using back to this who is not using his face ID, or let me say the fingerprint on it today. Yes, we have the password behind, but this password is just used for some reasons when the system is telling me you haven't used the password for quite a while, so please re-authenticate. And that's good as well, but you should remember your password. It's quite important.
Which is becoming increasingly difficult the older we get. But hey, we'll conquer that.
I don't know what you mean, Jacqueline. I remember all of my.
I'm taking that as a sidekick.
Hendrik makes another point here about the proper use of social media by the C-suite as well, and the creation of decent social media policies that educate and inform as much as tell you what not to do. I think is quite important as well, because I think it's very easy, and this does apply across the company, not just the C-suite, but it's very easy to let confidential information or information that can be used as a breadcrumb towards gaining something. It's very easy to put information out there on social media. So if we don't understand how our organization uses social media and how it should use it, then there's going to be problems.
This reminds me of a bit of a dilemma I had maybe about 5-6 years ago, when I put together an acceptable use policy. And obviously had guidelines about social media. And there was a bit of pushback from one C-suite member who was very active on social media, Facebook at that time. and there was this what do I call it? Where do they meet, and where do the lines get blurred? Because my social media is my personal life and should not be regulated by the company policy.
Yeah.
And we're saying you're a representative of the company no matter where you are. You might be C-suite and you might even be on the board. So we feel we have the right to, or our social media, our policies extend to certain parts of your social life because then you represent us. You might be saying something politically that might not be in line with the company's thoughts, and that may be your own thoughts. So that you still have this gray area. Where does the company policy stop and personal opinions can come in? And how do we navigate that gray area? That was a bit of a tough time for me because I was sort of being pulled in every direction. I had to obviously implement this policy. I needed all C-suite to sign and agree. And there was this one person saying, no way, because you are encroaching on my personal life and you are encroaching on my freedom of speech. It was really difficult. And I must say, it's not a dilemma that has been fully solved yet. Yeah. Because yes, it is a question. Where does it end? Where does the company policy end in your life? And when does your freedom of speech and personal opinions take over? Very interesting one.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, at 5:30 p.m. But, you know, that's just me.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very challenging one. It's a very challenging one. We're up against the time at the moment, so why don't we draw that to a close? I'm going to go around each of you. You're going to have, let's say 20 seconds. I'm feeling generous today. To answer the question, you know, what should our audience do when they get to their desks tomorrow as regards protecting their C-suite? So what's the one thing they should do? Thomas, I'm going to start with you.
I would be happy if you're just taking tomorrow your phone, asking your C-suite, opening up your password container, look at that, and look if there is something compromised in. And the normal topic, it is always. So from that point of view, most of them don't know where the password is stored on one hand. So just do that. These are my 20 seconds.
Very good. Thank you. Jacqueline.
Call your CISO, ask for an OSINT. If you're too scared to do that, make sure you have clear protocols for incident response if you have been compromised in any way. Make sure there are some behavioral guidelines. These things are bound to happen. What do they do? Instead of us running around like a headless chicken, just make sure you have some behavioral guidelines down for us to verify we're dealing with deepfakes and ask the necessary questions. And obviously, practice minimal information sharing. Thank you.
Brilliant. And finally, from our sponsor, Torsten.
Yeah, I promised you not to do any stupid marketing or sales stuff, but the I think best answer would have been give me a call, but I would say
we'll settle for that.
Check if your passwords are already compromised. Go to a website, Google it, and then just take whatever is needed in order to fix it, and be smarter than the bad guys.
Absolutely. And I think I'd add to that, which echoes all three of that, is just get creative in how you actually work with your C-suite. Thank you all for your time. I've just got a few announcements, obviously, before we say our goodbyes properly. Our mug, I think, it has to go to Hendrik. Hendrik hasn't stopped typing for the last 20 minutes, I think. It was a quiet start, I'll give you that. I was a bit worried. But congratulations, Hendrik, for winning the teissTalk mug. I hope you enjoy it. You can also join us next week, even. We don't even have to wait that long, where we're going to be talking about eliminating blind spots within your cyber security environment. All that remains for me to say is a thank you to my guests. Thomas, thank you very much.
thank you for inviting, and it was a pleasure to have this chat with you.
Absolutely. Jacqueline, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. It was definitely a pleasure. This is my third teissTalk, and I'm looking forward to coming back again.
You're all welcome back. And Torsten, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed it.
And to our audience, I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to stay secure, my friends.